As the great filmmaker Steven Spielberg once said, great storytelling has the power to make an entire audience clap at the same time, laugh at the same time, and even feel fear at the same time. Now, let me ask you a question. How many of you have watched films such as Wonder, Inside Out, or The Pursuit of Happiness? Now, these films actually have something in common. These films are remembered not only because they entertain us, but because they made us feel something. They allowed us to understand the struggles, emotions, and experiences of people whose life may be very different from our own. Now, let's think about it for a second. How is it that a room full of strangers from different backgrounds, races, and ethnicities can feel the same emotions through a single film? What this shows is that films have the power to connect people on a much deeper level. And empathy is one of the emotions that can be formed while watching films. That is why I believe that films should be taught as a tool for empathy, not just entertainment. While some of you might not agree in my stance, you should know that the films we watch do influence the way we think, feel, and understand other people. Let's be honest here. Haven't we all watched films and imagined ourselves being in those worlds, or even as one of the characters? With the way films encourage imagination, they can also shape us to become more empathetic. Someday, there will come a time when you struggle to understand someone whose life that is very different from your own. And in that moment, the ability to empathize will matter more than ever. While researching this topic, I was surprised by how films can help in develop empathy. Since we are constantly exposed to films in our daily life, I believe it is important to recognize their true educational value. Films should be taught as a tool for empathy, not just entertainment, because society continues to underestimate their true educational value. This contributes to the growing lack of empathy among individuals, and films can serve as an effective educational solution to promote emotional understanding and social awareness. Today, I will explain 3 important points. First, I will discuss the problems of how films are still viewed mainly as entertainment. Second, I will explain how this view affects our mindset. Finally, I will show how films can become an effective educational tool. First, let us look at the main problem, which is how many people still overlook the educational value that films have and mainly see them as a form of entertainment. According to LMCE2092, throughout history, films have long been viewed mainly as entertainment and have not yet received the same academic recognition as literature or painting. This perception has continued over time and has influenced the way society sees films today. Since films were traditionally created for our enjoyment, many people still assume that their purpose is only to entertain audiences rather than inspire or educate them. The second issue is the lack of empathy in society. Jabor 2025 states that empathy is an essential characteristic of humanity. However, there appears to be a decline in human empathy over the years, especially when we see a rise in racism, xenophobia, and misogyny all around the world. As empathy decreases, people become less concerned about the suffering of others and become more desensitized to negative news. The third issue is the underutilization of films in education. According to Resdianti, Kang, and Mohamed Waji 2024, films are still not incorporated into educational syllabus despite their potential to increase learning effectiveness. Even when films are used, they are often treated as supplementary materials rather than important learning tools. As a result, students may miss a more engaging and meaningful learning experiences. Now that I have highlighted the issues surrounding the use of films, it is important to explore solutions that can maximize their educational potential. Films should be integrated into education because they can serve as an effective tool for developing empathy and emotional understanding. According to DeWitt 2024, films that are centered on real-life situations and human experiences can expose students to different cultures, perspectives, and life experiences, helping them to develop a more broader perspective. These studies also suggest that narrative can persuade and move people in a way that numbers and statistics cannot. Based on my research, I propose that schools integrate meaningful films into classroom activities and syllabus. Second, teachers could conduct reflective learning activities where students share what they gain from the films, their experiences, and the lesson they learn. These activities can also help students become more confident in expressing their thoughts and opinions. Also, according to Refes, Sebeck and Fordenhor 2023, schools should form film club or student-led discussion community as co-curricular activities. These activities encourage students to analyze social issues, evaluate characters' actions, and participate in meaningful discussion outside of the classroom hours. Implementing these solutions does not only solve the issues we face, but can also create significant benefits for students and society. Using films in education benefits students, educational institutions, and society by creating a more emotionally aware and socially responsible individuals. The first benefit is the development of emotional intelligence. According to Thomas M. Manelil, 2025, films can contribute to the development of emotional intelligence. Through film narrative, students learn to understand different struggles and perspectives, helping them empathize with others more effectively. In addition, articles from University of Cambridge in 2024 shows that integrating films into classroom activities can create a more enjoyable learning environment and improve student behavior during class. This can encourage better interaction among students and create a more safer and more engaging classroom environment. Most importantly, society as a whole can benefit from exposure to films because films influence the way people think and view the world. When individuals become more aware that different situations and perspectives exist, society can become more considerate and socially connected while also reducing prejudice and misunderstandings. In conclusion, we can clearly see that films are much more than simple entertainment. They have the ability to shape our perspective, strengthen emotional understanding, and help people to connect with experiences different from their own life. There is a clear need to recognize films as more than entertainment. By integrating films into education, we can help students develop empathy and emotional understanding. This can benefit students, educational institutions, and society by creating a more thoughtful and compassionate individual. Starting today, I urge you not to watch films only for entertainment. Instead, watch them with an open mind and reflect on the meanings that they convey. At the same time, I call on schools and educational institutions to recognize the potential of films and create more opportunities for film-based learning in the hope of shaping future generations into a more compassionate and socially aware individuals. Before I end my speech, I would like to leave you with one final thought. Films are not just stories that we watch on a screen. They are windows into other people's lives, struggles, and emotions. In a society where empathy is slowly fading, films can help remind us what it means to understand and care for one another. Films are not only made to entertain us, but also to teach us on how to become more human. Thank you.